So we're going to take a pause on the OHL team history videos as we've got some pretty big news to cover here on the channel as we now know who the next Ontario Hockey League commissioner is going to be. At the start of the season, David Branch announced that the 2023-24 season would be his last, and we now know that he has a replacement. He's set to retire, and he will be replaced by Brian Crawford. He was announced as the new OHL commissioner yesterday. He's going to start his new position August 6th, so just in time for the new regular season when it gets underway in September. Crawford, he's been with Golf Canada as an executive and a tournament director for the RBC Canadian Open. Along with his business leadership skills, he also spent 7 seasons with the Toronto Argonauts as a running back and a special team standout. If you're not familiar with the Toronto Argonauts, they play in the Canadian Football League. So it is an interesting choice. Of course, a lot of hockey players in the summer months will play some golf, but a football background is an interesting one. But he does bring that athletic pedigree. He's experienced professional sports, which a lot of players in the Ontario Hockey League are aspiring to do once they graduate out of junior hockey, going on to the National Hockey League or American Hockey League. So I think this is a very interesting decision. This is going to be the first new commissioner since 1980 is David Branch. He has been in charge and has overseen a lot of change during his time. He's done a great job with growing the game, the league up to 20 teams. He's expanded into the United States with 3 American franchises. And the league seems to be pretty stable now. But, this is going to be a big difference, I think. Crawford, he oversaw an increase in attendance for the Canadian Open, which I think the Board of Governors is pretty excited about. They want to grow the game, and Crawford has been able to see golf grow in attendance. He's also seen benchmarks in revenue growth and economic impact, which as owners, I'm sure they are very excited about because, yes, it's a game that we love, but at the same time, as owners, they want to make a profit. They are in this as a business. So it's going to be very interesting to see the direction that Crawford will guide the Ontario Hockey League going forward. He'll be introduced to the media next week. So that'll give us a bit of a clear picture as to what Crawford envisions for the Ontario Hockey League going forward. And it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. Crawford wasn't a name I heard during the season because there's a lot of speculation on different people potentially taking over the role of commissioner. But Crawford is a breath of fresh air, I think, is how people are going to view this. And we'll see how it all plays out. And I know a lot of people are probably wondering, okay, he's led golf. He's a football player. Why is he coming over to hockey? Well, if you look at the National Hockey League, Gary Bettman, the commissioner, he actually got his start in the NBA, so basketball, and then came over to the National Hockey League and really helped the game grow there. So I think it's okay that they're looking outside of the hockey circles. It actually might be a good thing that they're branching out. No pun intended. I didn't do that on purpose, but still, it's a great idea for them, I think, to look outside of the box to see what kind of potential is there as the OHL looks to grow the game. I believe expansion is probably on the horizon, and I think this is probably a step towards that at some point. I'm hoping that that question will be brought up soon enough. Maybe we can even get Crawford here on the channel. I have reached out to David Branch to try and get him on here, and we'll see if that happens. If not, maybe we can get Crawford. Time will tell. But either way, congratulations to Crawford being named the next OHL commissioner. It was also announced this morning that the OHL Board of Governors has voted in favor of the Steelheads relocation from Mississauga to Brampton. No real surprise here. We found out about 4 months ago that the Steelheads had intentions of moving from Mississauga to Brampton to play at the CAA Center. I even have an interview here on the channel where I talk with owner Elliot Kerr after the news broke that the Steelheads were ready to relocate, and Kerr expressed interest in Brampton as the negotiation with the arena lease not really going anywhere at the Paramount Fine Food Center. And the team is still focused on Peel Region. They're not turning their back on Mississauga. They're going to have the same jerseys. Even the mascot, Saga, he's been out at public events in Mississauga and Brampton over the offseason wearing a Brampton Steelheads jersey. So you knew it was coming, but we were just waiting for the formal announcement from the Ontario Hockey League. It'll still take some time to get used to saying Brampton Steelheads, but we'll have to get that out of our system as broadcasters early on. We don't want to be calling them the Mississauga Steelheads during a broadcast on TV or radio, or the Brampton Battalion, because I'm sure that's still going to roll off the tongue a little bit, as the Battalion, the last team to call Brampton home. They were there from 1998 until 2012 before relocating to North Bay, where they're now the North Bay Battalion. That first game between the Battalion and Steelheads, it's going to be a fascinating one, as we get the season underway at the end of August going into September. So some great news there. And the last news item I wanted to touch on, the Owen Sound Attack. They're completing their offseason checklist. They hired Scott Ray as their head coach. We found that out a week ago. Now they have signed Pierce Mavui to an OHL standard player agreement. He was their first round selection. He was selected 7th overall, the OHL priority selection. And I think he's going to bring a lot of excitement to the Bayshore. And Owen Sound Attack fans, I think, are going to love Mabui, as he's a fast player. He's very creative. When he played for the Toronto Marlboros last season, he had 48 goals, 46 assists, good for 94 points in 59 games. That includes the OHL Cup, where he led the tournament in scoring, if I'm not mistaken. So Mabui, I think he's going to be a fan favorite once over these next couple of seasons. Obviously, it's going to take him some time to get adjusted to the junior hockey level, the OHL, but Barrie Colt fans are, I think, going to get quite familiar with him. He might be a player that might frustrate, because he's going to be the player that's going to find the back of the net quite a bit for Owen Sound, because, of course, Barrie, Owen Sound, they are in opposite conferences, but they do meet each other 6 games during the regular season for the Battle of Highway 26. So that's going to be a player that Barrie Colt fans, I think, are going to become familiar with as well. So those are the news items that I want to touch on today. I will be continuing the OHL team history videos next week, so on Monday, and I'll also have a special interview tomorrow, so stay tuned for that, talking about the OHL players set to hear their names at the upcoming NHL draft. So that's how I see it from the booth. Thank you very much for all your support. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you again soon.